So hey guys, in preparation for the new Kashtira support, I've been playing a lot of Kashtira fairly pure. And the only noticeable techs I think I really have that are worth mentioning right now are Fog King and Nemesis Corridor. So a lot of the hands uh, I have are kind of just pain and suffering, simply put. But I think I should honestly play Nemesis Corridor at like 3. Honestly, but I just want to keep it at 1 just simply so I can kind of play the Kashtira cards. And I know this deck isn't that good, and there are like better ways to utilize Kashtira as is. But playing this quite a bit, I learned a lot of things. So the first thing is, if you see Zeus in the extra deck and your opponent can make it, always banish Zeus. Like, yeah. This deck fumbles so hard against Zeus, it's insane. But yeah, let's go here for a second. So normally my win rate is pretty damn good with the decks I normally play for ranked, but like here it's like a struggle, to say the least. Look at how many losses I have. Normally I'm at like 70 or 80% wins, just straight up, and then 20% losses. Unless I get like Omega unlucky, then I might have like a 4 loss streak, or maybe 5. 5 is really, really bad though. It rarely happens, but sometimes you just draw literally just all non-engine or all engine, and you just need your non-engine or engine, depending on like situation, right? Happens. But yeah. Just steer up here. Pain. So let's go ahead and draw 5 sample cards. So already, as you can see, you can generate completely disgusting hands. And it's just, like, really? So at least here, we have a small play. We can do Summon Kashtira Unicorn, Search Birth, and that right there will, since we already have Birth, this is good bait. This can bait like an Imperm, Effect Veiler. This can bait like Ash, Blossom, Joy, Spring, whatever. And then we can do Sacred Sword of 7 stars to banish our Kashtira Unicorn and hopefully draw into something. So, draw 2. And we drew Crazy. Thank God. So, now, since we have Unicorn in here, Unicorn's going to be banished by 7 star already. We won't summon back Unicorn. So, next, we'll summon our copy of Ascended Thunder and Kashtira Fenrir, but not in that order, obviously. Then we will Fenrir for Rysart. If, for example, I had Nemesis Corridor here, though, my normal summon would be Kashtira Rysart. And then I would be able to Nemesis Corridor, put back, like, I guess I would do maybe Unicorn here. Doesn't super matter. And then I would do Nemesis Corridor, Tribute, to summon Thunder Dragon Colossus. And this just destroys, like, a lot of decks. Like Pearly, for example, not being able to search really hurts them. And not being able to excavate off of Pearl Lily, I believe, as well. Because that does not count as a draw. The excavate add to hand. And various other lists get completely, like, curb stomped by Thunder Dragon Colossus. Like Punk, for example, can get pretty curb stomped. Like normal summons Yamin, and then no effect because Colossus. And yeah, so on and so forth. Just a bunch of decks. But anyways, here I would probably go Fenrir effect, add Rysart. We can normal summon Rysart, special summon Rysart. It doesn't really matter. And then we'll send, or we'll banish Ogre, and then we'll Kashtira Birth Ogre, special summon Ogre, and then we'll be able to use Ogre effect to add our copy of Preparations, and then Preparations effect. Next turn to summon back our Unicorn. But in the meantime, we control 3 guys here. So we have, 4 guys. So we have Ascended of Thunder, we have Kashtira Fenrir. So actually the order I would do this in, it would be first we summon Fenrir, and then Ascended of Thunder, then we can normal summon, special summon Rysart. Doesn't super matter. Then with Fenrir and Ascended of Thunder, we make Shangri-Ira. Then we activate our effect of Kashtira Rysart. So we'll banish some cards here. We'll banish 3 of our opponent's cards. 1 of our own, it'll be Ogre, special summon Ogre. So then Ogre, Rise Heart, make Diablosis. Diablosis effect will then just banish some dudes. And we'll be cooking, I guess, you know? So we'll banish, wait, this is a Thunder. Wait. Does this mean anything? I can tribute Ascendant of Thunder for Thunder Dragon Colossus if I activate a Thunder in hand. So I'm getting a little distracted here. But anyways, I'll Diablosis effect, and then next turn I'll summon back Unicorn, and then summon the Fenrir in my deck. And I guess that would be it. So, notably now, the last 2 cards in my hand will be evenly matched, and I will have no other cards. So let me tell you what interactions I have for the next turn, okay? So I will have locked 3 of my opponent's zones off of that small combo, I guess. And then if my opponent had responses, I probably wouldn't be able to do much, honestly. So yeah, whatever. So the next turn, my opponent will be able to do whatever. And I will only have 2 extra deck banishes. Will I have that? No, I won't. I only have 1. Assuming they didn't activate anything against my Unicorn, then I will have 3 hand cards. I will have Kashtira Birth, and then 2 copies of Evenly Matched. But aside from that, then I will have a copy of Diablosis, which does effectively nothing. This card, unless my opponent like crashes into Diablosis, it will have no effect the next turn, essentially. Unless my opponent, I guess, allows me to trigger one of my Kashtira cards to banish face down, then I guess Diablosis banish, right? And then they'll lock out whatever 5 zones I want, 5 monster zones or 5 spell trap zones. But at the same time, my opponent activates Raigeki. What will happen? I will simply have only like Shangri-Ira. So to play around some cards, I can, for example, just activate Preparation and sit on that and just have like Fenrir with my Unicorn still being banished. Or I can summon Unicorn right away. But like generally just summoning Unicorn won't like save me or anything, so not super helpful here. So then, what does Unicorn do? It just banishes 1 more card from my opponent's extra deck. So that will be 2 banish cards. So they will still have 13 cards in the extra deck. And you know what? That is not even that helpful. Did you guys not remember at around the start of Master Duel where there was this huge like wave of bots? So someone was running some kind of like botnet, and they were just running copies of this really annoying deck that just FTK'd you with a DD Dynamite, you know? So that was giga annoying. And like literally like 60% of the games you played in like ranked were just going to be that deck against like straight up bots, which was just really, really bad. So yeah, that sucked. And one of the countermeasures you actually do against them is specifically, I believe you run like only 12 extra deck cards. Because if you run 12, their FTK doesn't work anymore. So having less cards, clearly playable. So all I can do is banish like 1 of their extra deck monsters plus Zeus essentially, with a Unicorn plus Diablosis, okay? And if I'm lucky, Diablosis effect might trigger again and banish a lot of their main deck cards. So that will be like banished what? I believe 20 cards from their main deck or something like that. I don't remember the exact number, but it's something like that, right? And in case that does happen, that might not win me the game. It depends what my opponent's playing. But yeah, that's not that great. So then following this, now we have Fenrir effect. And then that's it, really. We have Fenrir. Fenrir effect to banish one face-up card your opponent controls, banishing it face down. Yeah, that I used like, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4 technically cards or so in hand to do this. Yeah, but I mean, if you disregard this Kashtira birth, this is like a 3-card combo, and this ends on just Fenrir banish a dude. So if I just opened only Fenrir and like special summon this, it's like pretty close to the same. Yeah, so what I'm trying to get at is Kashtira's Pure right now is just sucks ass. It's just awful. Like, what does this do for me? And I'll tell you right now, you don't really have options. And I just put these here just because I ran out of good cards. I couldn't think of anything really to put. You would just put like more copies of like Big Eye, or more copies of Shangri-La, more copies of Diablosis, or something like that. Because there's like realistically not that many good cards for you to run in the extra deck. Yeah. And after mulling it over a bit, a Rise Heart right now, if you just slapped only a Rise Heart into this deck, this doesn't even do a whole lot. Like, the only good thing is with this hand, I would be able to like, instead of pass on Shangri-La, because I don't even think that's like good, honestly. I would be able to pass on a Rise Heart with Diablosis, but still with like pretty much the same board. So now my opponent is under Macro Cosmos, and also I have Fenrir Banish, Unicorn Banish, and that's it. Otherwise, this is practically the same. No real big difference here. Yeah. This really doesn't do a whole lot for me. So, yeah. A Rise Heart has basically Fenrir Banish effect. So if you think of it as just a Rise Heart and Fenrir Pass, and let's assume the rest of the things I can do aren't really relevant, like Kashtira Birth has a Banish effect, and Preparations also has a Banish effect, but let's be real. Preparations Banish effect doesn't even possibly come into play until like turn 4. Assuming I just have it, like, to start with, right? So in this hand, I can get Ogre, Preparations. So, yeah. If my opponent has Imperm, why would they not use Imperm on the first turn? Literally, there is, like, no reason, really. They would have probably used it at some point on the first turn. So, yeah. Unless they exactly draw Imperm for turn, when will Preparations realistically be doing anything for me? It won't, right? And I'm just playing Macrocosmos because I could run multiple, but I'm only running it for the synergy with like Preparations, honestly. Because banishing your Kashtira cards is unironically somewhat hard, because you can't just regular banish your cards. None of the Kashtira cards do that aside from like Rise Heart. And then I guess I have Psy Beast, which can do it, but even that's not like super great. So that also sucks. And yeah, that's kind of just how it goes, I guess. So do I have a good play here to do? Not really. Will I ever have a good play? I feel like the answer is no. But in case I get a really good hand with Ash, I guess I have Baron and Chang'e. That's cool. I haven't ever gotten an opportunity to like summon Chang'e, really. But I mean, maybe Chang'e will help me with gaming my opponent. Speaking of which, gaming your opponent is pretty hard, just somewhat. Like if my opponent has 2 guys in defense, I just can't lethal them. Yeah, just straight up. Because the only forms of removal I have, like in my extra deck, all of them have this lovely effect where it's like, you cannot attack the turn you activate this effect. So if my opponent literally, let's just say that they're like, I don't know, they misclick really badly, okay? So they just special summon like Sprite Blue, Sprite Jet, and then somehow pass turn. Oopsie daisies. And they actually have no hand traps, they have all engine. Wow. What an unfortunate circumstance. With this hand, I can get like 4 Kashtiras onto the field, right? I don't have lethal. Like, yeah. With just my Kashtira cards, there's no lethal. If I summon Ascend of Thunder, I think I might barely not have lethal still. So, yeah. Isn't that crazy? Just absolutely tragic. You don't have easy lethal at all. Because you can't, like, get bodies out. If you make something in your extra deck, it doesn't net you any more bodies. And you have no, like, good way to, like, lethal. So, well, actually, that's not completely true, because there are, like, some rank 7s that are good for lethal, but they're just, like, super awful feeling to play, in my opinion. Well, I guess we can go over that. So, right now in my list, there's no way. But, I guess there is room. I can maybe replace Boral Sword, but it's just... pain. Well, yeah. If we're looking mostly at the Kashtira side of things, you won't be able to lethal like this at all, right? It's like a really out of the way tech, in my opinion, which is what I don't like. With like Tearlaments, you could like just summon all your Tearlament guys and you would probably have relatively easy lethal, right? So yeah. Well, let's continue. So next we have well, Dark Arm Dragon. So this is good though, because this is not hard once per turn and we can just summon this. So with this effect, it does 2 good things for us. First is it'll destroy any card your opponent controls. And then this will banish a card from your graveyard, which helps us because of preparations. So we can banish, for example, Fenrir, and then summon Fenrir back with preparations the next turn. Nice. And then we have Volo for Nigus here that I'm running for some reason. Honestly, I think this card's not worth running. Once per turn, you detach 2 materials from this card, then target 1 face-up card on the field. Destroy it, and if you destroyed a monster, you can make 1 face-up monster you control gain attack equal to the destroyed monster's original level rank times 300 until the end of the next turn. This card cannot attack the turn you activate this effect. This is a quick effect if this card has a dragon monster's material, but cannot be activated in the damage step. Honestly, I think you're literally better off running 2 copies of Dark Arm Dragon rather than like any copies of Volo for Nigus, the Darkest Dragon Doom Rider. Would not recommend this card. So first off, this destroys any cards, and you can actually do battle with this. This card cannot attack for the rest of this turn, meaning you can do battle with it and then activate the effect to destroy. And if you only destroy 1 card, you can still go into Zeus. So you can't go into Zeus off of this like at all. This will hurt you in like a number like of ways, a few different ways, you know. So not the best. I guess we can remove Boral Sword, and I'll adjust this in a second. But in general, the deck is crazy bad. So let's see. With this hand, we have Nemesis Corridor. So we'll look for a different type of hand. I'm looking for a particular type of hand, and this would be about it. So this hand, notably, what I can do here is I can banish. Actually, this hand is still a little too good, but meh. Well, let's look for a little bit worse of a hand. Alright, this one's just all gas. That one was kind of crazy, actually. So, yeah. Sometimes you get hands like this. So here we have Preparations, and then we have Birth. So, that does nothing, and then we have Ascended Thunder Fucking. If I had, for example, Fenrir and Rise Heart or just Fenrir, what am I supposed to do here? Well, I'll tell you what. So, if I just have these 2, what can I do? So I can make like 1 rank 7 and pass, or I can just pass on just Fenrir. So if I pass on Shangri-Ira doesn't immediately do anything if we just pass on like solely just the Shangri-Ira. So like with this hand, where we just have 2 7s, if I pass on just Shangri-Ira, this is only moderately better than passing on just Fenrir, because I can summon Fenrir, and then I can summon a guy on turn 3. But if I just Fenrir pass, this also means that I can't be Ashed if my opponent just draws into Ash next turn. And I mean, Fenrir searches a guy anyways, so I could do like Fenrir search like Riseheart, for example, or Fenrir search Unicorn for that turn, and we still have plays off of that, right? And that will be fine. Like, the fact that just summon Shangri-Ira is not clearly better than just Fenrir pass is actually insane. Because when you pass on Fenrir and Shangri-Ira, what this gives you is you can banish one of your opponent's face-up cards face down, and then you can lock out one of your opponent's zones. Look, if my opponent is playing like Auroradon, and they summon like Baron, they still have enough room on their like board to do their full Auroradon combo. Isn't that insane? Like, this just does that little for you. It's crazy. And then if I were to like Diablosis pass, if my opponent is playing like not that good of ratios in their extra deck, maybe I can cheese out a win. Or I can just stop Zeus, because if my opponent just sets up a big Zeus, I am completely screwed. And there's nothing you can do against Zeus, like not on the Kashtira side. You'll have to draw some kind of generic card to deal with Zeus. So in this case, we have a few cards that can help us deal with Zeus. So we have Raigeki, Lightning Storm, and Infinite Impermanence. So any of those will help us out a bit. Aside from that, not enough can be done. So with Impermanence, I'll need like some kind of starter, like preferably Unicorn or Fenrir. And then if I have Raigeki, I still want some kind of starter, so I actually have something to deal with whatever cards my opponent will draw into. So yeah, that just hurts. So Diablosis pass is very close to just Fenrir pass. Like, it's not that different from like Shangri-Ira pass. Like, these three are all like valid options somehow. Why? Just raw Diablosis pass. Like, I will summon Diablosis in attack, banish a guy from my opponent's extra deck. And some of you guys might be like, oh, but like looking into your opponent's extra deck and getting the information, you know, and then like being able to banish a card from it. But that's good, isn't it? No. This sucks ass. So, first off, on the second turn, like, that will be around, like, more or less the most valuable turn, right? Your opponent either has the goods or they don't, right? So they can either play or they can't, right? So, if you have Fenrir and Unicorn, and you activate Unicorn twice, and then you activate Diablosis once and banish 3 cards from your opponent's extra deck, that is not enough to stop your opponent from playing, like, most decks. Unless you can banish 2 of their starters, which would be lucky if you could. Because you usually have to use one of your banishes for Zeus. Just, like, trust me, I've tried not banishing Zeus and it never works out. They always find a way into Zeus, and I'll tell you right now, you just can't stop Zeus. That also another weakness of Kashtira is that all of your effects are triggers. Like, okay. So, what if my opponent summons, like, 2 dudes, okay? And then they make an XYZ, like, literally any XYZ. They always have a target to attack. It's called Shangri-Ira. Like, this has no attack point, so you can't even put it in attack. That won't do anything for you. If you put it in defense, I guess since this guy has a lot of defense, your opponent crashing into this would deal like some damage to them. That's about it. But yeah, the attack into Shangri-Ira, make Zeus. That play, just you always have that play, and that sucks. What are you supposed to do about it? Nothing. There's really nothing you can do. That sucks a lot. So yeah. Then they just easily make Zeus, and when they activate Zeus, let's say you still have Fenrir effect because they inherited, summoned some cards, and then attacked into Shangri-Ira, made Zeus, like whatever, XYZ is fine. They don't even need anything to attack direct with. So if your opponent activates Zeus, then you have no response to make as the Kashtira player in this situation. Fenrir is an if trigger, so this will happen in the next chain, but by the next chain your board is empty. And that applies to preparations and birth as well. So you'll have no cards. You'll control like literally an empty board. And yeah. That's your whole board gone. So that sucks. And yeah, let's see. What next? So now we have Unicorn Fenrir, and then Birth again. So that's like combo, but whatever. So let's go ahead and go to XYZ, and then level 7. Or not level 7, rank 7. So in terms of rank 7s, there aren't that many good ones. So, oh, you can make Experly Happiness for whatever reason. Will this do anything for you? Let's see. You and XYZ summon this card, yada yada. Okay, during your main phase, you can detach one material from this card, and if you negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls until the end of this turn. That doesn't do anything for you. Alright. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this card's activation if this card has a level 1 Pearly Monsters material. Okay. When an attack is declared involving this card that has 5 or more materials, inflict 1,500 damage to your opponent. Yeah, that doesn't do anything. Okay, Galaxy Tomahawk. This kind of defeats the purpose of playing, like, Kashtira, you know, this is just going to go into, like, there's, like, 2 combos right now, I think people do, with Galaxy Tomahawk, with Kashtira. So, 1, you make the Arrival, or 2, you make, let's see, what was it that you make? Instead of the Arrival, you can just do a Rorodon combo, and that's it. Kind of like a bad way to do a Rorodon combo anyways. Like, Kashtira's not even that great for doing a Rorodon combo, so there's like a better way to do them. So moving on, there's a tech I saw where you make Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon, and then you link this off for a balancer, gravity balancer or something. And then you can use this graveyard effect to summon an Odd Eyes monster from your extra deck. So for the extra deck, I believe you can summon one of the Odd Eyes cards. I'm not sure which one, but one of them has like some good attacking effects, right? Which one was it? Is it this one? Yeah, this one here, right? Is it this one? Oh yeah, it might be this one. If this card is XYZ summoned by using XYZ monster's material. No, not this one. Right? No. It's not this one. There's so many Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragons that I'm a bit confused which one it was. Pretty sure there were other ones, weren't there? Are they not rank 7s, or am I losing it? Dark Anthelion? Is it this one? No, not that one. Odd Eyes Rebellion XYZ Dragon. Is it this one? You can detach one material from this, and then, yeah, destroy them. No. Odd Eyes Rebellion XYZ Dragon. Not that one. Do I even own it? Or is this not even a rank 7? Hold up, let's do this. And then Odd Eyes Rebellion. So we have this one, Dragon Overlord. Is it this one? This one? If this card is XYZ summon. I'm pretty sure it was one of these, right? Ah, this one. You can also XYZ summon this card by using a Rebellion XYZ monster you control as material. So this takes a lot of extra deck space. So what you do is you summon Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon, I guess, and then on top of that, you would summon Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon. And then this has a rank 7 XYZ monster as material and can make 3 attacks during the battle phase. And that's about it. And I believe, like, the card that you would use to link off the Odd Eyes, it helps you out a bit too. So, Gravity Controller. Cannot be used as link material, yada yada, and this has this lovely effect. This card in the extra monster zone cannot be destroyed by battle with a monster in the main monster zone. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent's monster in the extra monster zone, you can return both that opponent's monster and this card to the deck. So this helps you, like, remove a guy, potentially, but this requires, like, what was it, 1, 2, 3, 4? 4 extra deck slots to do. So that's like a third of your deck. So personally, just for that reason, I'm not a fan of this entire line. So yeah, following this up, let's just quickly go through all of the rank 7. So we have Diablosis, the Mind Hacker. This is going to get banned soon, but it has good synergy because it banishes face down and that triggers Shangri Era, and also it will banish a lot of your opponent's cards in the main deck. And then Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. This is pretty useless unless you're playing Red Eyes, honestly, because you would want to use the Red Eyes effect. There's a new SR Red Eyes, I believe. Which one is it? Here we go. Red Eyes, Black Meteor Dragon. You would run this. Use this effect to summon OG Red Eyes to the graveyard. So here, Red Eyes Black Dragon. And then you would use this to summon Red Eyes Black Meteor Dragon. And then you would summon Red Eyes Metal Flare and then Metal Flare effect to summon back the 7. That's about it. So, I mean, it's decent if you want to run 3 of them, so you can go for that, I guess. 3 Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragons. Hope your opponent doesn't have Evenly. Or Dark Ruler no more. Or Forbidden Droplet, yeah. And then that will burn your opponent to death, probably. And then, following this, we have number 7 Lucky Straight, I guess. What does this do? Nothing. Really. I mean, do any of these effects do anything for you? Then if the total roll was exactly 7. So, you can choose one of these effects. If you get a 7, I guess. Expertly Happiness, we read this, doesn't do anything. Digital Bug Rhinos Bus, you can't make this. Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon, you can kind of make that, but not really. Odd Eyes Raging Dragon, I guess you can kind of make this as well, but this doesn't do anything, does it? If this card is XYZ summoned using an XYZ monster as material. Yeah, that's not gonna do it. So Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon, you can use this to bring out an Odd Eyes monster from your extra deck. That is doable. Anomaly Chaos Atlantis, you can just hard summon this. Does this do anything? No. Unless you are doing an FTK, I don't see why you would summon Chronomaly Chaos Atlantis. But actually, now that I look at this, I didn't realize this, but with Chronomaly Chaos Atlantis, if you have somehow equipped a number monster to Chronomaly Chaos Atlantis, then you can make your opponent's life points 100, and then pair that with, like, Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, activate any card and you die. That concept, not completely bad, I guess. So let's see, what does this say exactly? If you activate any of this card's effects, your opponent takes no further damage this turn. Once per turn, You can target one monster your opponent controls, put that target to this card as an equip spell card, whose effect makes this monster gain 1,000 attack. So I have no idea how you would equip a number onto this, but if you manage it, good on you. This will possibly net you game. But wait, send all number monsters equipped by this card's effect. You can't even just equip this willy-nilly. You have to give your opponent a number somehow. Okay, that became a little bit more complicated, so I won't think too much about that. So, got distracted a bit. You can actually make Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon Overlord straight up, though, instead, I guess, right? So, if you do this play, you probably still want to run at least, like, around 2 of these. So, that sucks a little bit, but that goes down quite a bit from the 4 extra deck slots it would take. Then we have Infinite Track Mountain Smasher. Does this do anything? Seems like the answer is no. And then we have number 74, Master of Blades. When a card or effect is activated that targets this face-up card, quick effect, you can detach one material from this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. Then you can destroy one card on the field. The only time this is useful is specifically if you have something that can target this, so that you can trigger this effect. But it will negate that effect, or negate that activation, destroy that card. So, kind of, like, awkward. It doesn't do a whole lot for you. And then next we have Hierophant of Prophecy. Can't make it. Big Eye. You can yoink one of your opponent's, I guess, cards, or one of their monsters, you know? That one, a little bit useful. And then we have Titanic Moth. If you control no other monsters, this card can't attack directly, but when it does so, using this effect, the battle damage inflicted to your opponent is halved. When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can detach one material from this card and inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each card in the hand. This is only exactly useful for attacking directly to make Zeus. But it's not even that good of a Zeus. Alright. Eben Illusion Magician. You can also XYZ summon this card by using a rank 6 spellcaster XYZ monster you control as material. And that doesn't do much. Here, once per turn, you can detach a material from this card, special summon a spellcaster normal monster from your hand or deck. Also doesn't do much. When a spellcaster or normal monster declares an attack, you can target one card your opponent controls, banish it. Yeah, that neither of these effects are that good unless you're playing Dark Magician. So cool. Number 76, Harmonizer Gradiel. This card's attribute is also treated as each of its attached materials attributes. Cannot be destroyed by battle with monster with the same attribute. Also cannot be destroyed by the activated effects of your opponent's monsters with the same attribute. Quick effect. You can target one monster in your opponent's graveyard, detach one material from this card, and if you attach that target to this card as material. This actually is somewhat useful. Like, only against, like, tier element, you know? You can just attach one of your opponent's, like, tier cards to this. But I mean, like, as of recording this, in a few days, like, Arise Heart is expected to just drop. So, yeah. What's the point? They don't have a graveyard, like, you know? And then we have Gaia Dragon the Thunder Charger. So this has defense piercing. That's it. But you would just typically use this as, like, a downer, basically. So rank 5 or 6 XYZ material, and then you summon this and then make Zeus. That's all this is for, really. Mermail Abyss Gaius. You can't make this, well, unless you have 2 Ogre on the field. Well, this face-up card has XYZ material of 5 or higher monsters cannot attack. Once per turn during either player's turn, you can detach one XYZ material from this card, negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls that have less attack than this card until the end of the turn. So honestly, this card, playable. Is it good? I would say no. Draco Sack. This is like just the worst Galaxy Tomahawk, pretty much. So, yeah, moving along. CXYZ Simon the Great Moral Leader. So, this card is unaffected by other monster effects. If this card has no Rito, the Moral Leader as an XYZ material, it gains this effect. So, it's a really crappy Towers if you just raw make it with Kashtira. Once per turn, during either player's turn, you can detach one XYZ material from this card, then target one monster your opponent controls, change its battle position, and if you do, negate its effects until the end of this turn. It's a negate. I guess. Yay. I haven't seen anyone ever make this. Aurea the Sylvan High Arbiter. Send a plant-type monster from your hand or face up from your side of the field to the graveyard. Look at a number of cards from the top of your deck equals to the level that the sent monster had in the hand or on the field, then place them on the top of the deck in any order. Once per turn, you can detach one XYZ material from this card, choose a number from 1 to 3, then excavate that many cards from the top of your deck. Send any excavated plant-type monsters to the graveyard, and if you do, return up to that many cards on the field to the hand. Minimum 1 except this card. Also place the other cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. So honestly, this is only specifically useful for Sylvan, pretty much. Yeah, so that's not gonna come. CXYZ, Bury and Hope. This doesn't really do much, does it? This card gains 1,000 attack for each XYZ material attached to it, so 3. You can target one number monster in your graveyard until your opponent's next end phase. This card's name becomes that monster's and replace this effect with that monster's original effects. So this doesn't do anything for you. You can copy like Diablosis' effect, but you could have made a second Diablosis. Like, instead of making Diablosis and then Bury and Hope. I mean, yeah. And then next, Eben High Magician, can't make it. Arsenal Falcon, you can make this, but it has no effect, really. All you can do is special summon a level 4 winged beast monster from your deck. That's it. The rest of this requires like Raid Raptor stuff, so that doesn't do anything for you. Super Quantal Mech Beast Luster X cannot attack unless it has material. Once per turn, you can detach one material from this card, then target one effect monster on the field. Negate that face of monster's effects until the end of this turn. This is a quick effect if this card has Super Quantum White Layer as material. Once per turn, you can attach one Super Quantum monster from your hand or field to this card as material. This doesn't do anything, honestly. Like, you would play this only if you had Super Quants. Yeah. But if you're not playing Super Quants, this entire effect on this is kind of useless. It's a really crappy monster negate. And then we have Expertly Noir. Yeah, so essentially what this does is you can detach 2 materials from this card, then target one card your opponent controls or in the graveyard, place it on the bottom of the deck. That's it. Okay, and then we have Dark Anthelion. And we won't read the Pendant effect. It doesn't really matter. If you can Pendulum Summon level 7, you can Pendulum Summon this face-up card in your extra deck. Doesn't matter. Once per turn, quick effect, you can detach one material from this card, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls until the end of this turn. Its attack becomes half its current attack, and if it does, this card gains that lost attack. If this card in the monster zone is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can place this card in your Pendulum Zone. So essentially, yeah, this doesn't do anything, right? This just has like the rank 4 Odd Eyes. No, not Odd Eyes. The rank 4 XYZ Dragons effect, where you lower your opponent's like attack points and kind of yoink it, you know? It's kind of that effect. So yeah, that doesn't do a whole lot. Odd Eyes Rebellion XYZ Dragon. This is not makeable unless you make Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon. So, in general, you might have noticed there's a lack of cards that actually interact on your opponent's turn here, actually. You might have noticed, in fact, that there are literally no cards that allow you to interact with your opponent. Like, any of these, none of them are reasonably usable for that purpose. So, yeah, that's actually a bit of an issue. The closest thing you have to interaction is Harmonizer Gradial. I think this is the only one that you can reasonably make with like Kashtira that actually has an effect, like some kind of interruption. Like Red Eyes Flare Metal, that is not really interruption. It just exists, and hopefully your opponent dies to the burn. That's about it. There is no like anything. when you're playing Red Eyes Flare Metal here. And yeah, that's kind of how that goes, I guess. There's just no really good decks. And in fact, I just realized there's only one possible way for you to do a rank up into Zeus that would allow you to do a thing, I guess. So what you could do technically is we can summon let's see, it has to be an Odd Eyes Rebellion monster. So can this be summoned on top of itself? As many times as you want, yeah. So Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon Overlord, you would summon this just normally. And then you would summon Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon Overlord on top of Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon Overlord. And this will have a rank 7 XYZ monster as material. You can attack 3 times. That's great, I guess. And then you can, I guess, summon that's on top of itself again if you wanted. And would that do anything for you? Wait, let me count. 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5, and then Zeus would be 6. So no, that doesn't even get you an extra activation on Zeus if you played 3. So it would just be 2. So yeah, summon this on top of itself and then make Zeus. This is the only way you can do a kind of format Zeus. Aside from that, there is nothing. And that sucks. Because now your Zeus, unlike, for example, if Sprite does Zeus, right? They just make a rank 2 attack into your like defense position monster. In this case, we'll say Shangri-Ira. And then they make Zeus. What can you do against that? Nothing. So, first off, let's pretend you actually have a Baron. Let's get a little generous here. So, chain 1, Zeus. Chain 2, Baron. Chain 3, Zeus, right? And then your board still gets wiped anyways. And also, you, of course, don't get to activate any of your Kashtira cards. That's how that would resolve. So if your opponent, for example, has any form of monster negate, like a Baron would do it, or, for example, I don't know, let's say Chizao. Or maybe even, let's see, what's a really flimsy, just raw monster negate? And nothing but a monster negate. Let's just say Apollosa. Apollosa works, I guess. Your opponent just has an Apollosa, and for whatever reason you couldn't attack Apollosa, doesn't really matter. Maybe they IB for... Would they? No, I guess not. Apollosa's not a good example, right? Because you would have been able to probably beat over it. But, like, if you have a Zeus play, you would probably, like, Diablosis or something into it. And then you would go Zeus, and then Zeus effect, and you can't chain 3 Zeus, and your Zeus just gets negated, destroyed, and you were big sad, your opponent still has their entire board, and you lose, because that was probably the only play you had. So speaking of which, that is still somehow... Your best play going second is always just to make Zeus and pray. And making Zeus and pray is just so awful, because, sure, you made Zeus, your opponent's board is cleared, but you know what else Zeus does? Zeus locks you out of, like, all of your Kashtira cards, aside from exactly Rise Heart. So now you're hoping to have, like, Rise Heart Birth or Rise Heart Prep, and that will be your play, hopefully. That, or you have, like, maybe Rise Heart Ascendant of Thunder, so it's just all praying for, like, Rise Heart. Rise Heart is the only thing you can possibly do when you have a Zeus on the field. You're locking yourself out of your own monsters with this Zeus. So there are a lot of duels that you can end up losing even after Zeusing your opponent's board simply because Zeus locks you out of your own board. So you're actually secretly hoping your opponent, like, outs your Zeus for you almost, just so you can, like, play your other cards, because just having Zeus will not get you, like, lethal most of the time. Your opponent can just keep setting, like, hand traps, and they don't have to worry about setting hand traps because what are you going to do? Like, they can't Ash Rise Heart to begin with, so what are you going to do? Like, summon Fenrir and kill me? I don't think so. You have just a single Zeus on your field, you know? So it gets to the point where you're actually potentially also looking for the play of like setting an Ash Blossom Joy Spring. So you can tribute summon over like Ash Blossom and Zeus just so you can play again. Because you're somewhat like, it's like hitting yourself with Tikaboo or some shit, you know? Being a little crude there, but yeah. It's just awful. So yeah. This is Kashtira before the support, and I will make a video after we get the Kashtira support, you know? So right now, this is just what Kashtira is like. And there are some like Kashtira variants, so you don't have to play as pure as I am. But I'll tell you what. If you play, for example, Kashtira Punk, straight up, the cash cards don't do anything. Unless you exactly use them to make a Rodon, which I think is lame, honestly. But, well, you can just run better summons, like Ascendant of Thunder helps, but I'm pretty sure if you played Ascendant of Thunder with, like, the Red Eyes card I showed you guys earlier, like, just 3 copies of all of those, that would make, like, a Rodon probably more consistently, like, through Galaxy Tomahawk than using Kashtira. Like, why bother? Because then you can play your punk cards to do some draws into them as well. And they'll help you. Aside from that, you'll do like special summon Fenrir, normal summon Rysar, and then Rysar effect banish, like, I don't know, probably Fenrir or something. And then you would make a Galaxy Tomahawk from there. I guess that plays fine, but to a Fenrir. So, cool, I guess. And then, if you were playing your punk cards, honestly, there's like no synergy between these cards. It's actually so bad. So first off, you need specifically some Kashtira cards in your hand to start. So if you don't, they'll just sit in your hand and do nothing. Yeah. So let's say I normal summon Xiamen, and then I'll use, of course, both my draws on Extreme Session. I'll do my punk combo. Unless I have, like, Birth, then I will not be able to summon, like, Fenrir, Unicorn, Ogre, whatever. I can normal summon Rysar, can I? No, I can't, because I already normal summoned for Xiamen or Shorakusai. Yup, that's just bricks. So, this is arguably worse than, like, Therion Punk. And then, also, the form of interactions you gain from playing Kashtira. What do you gain? Kashtira Fenrir, banish a card face down, and you also have like the levels to make a Baron or Chenging. And with Therion, you get all of this and an Omni Negate. And also protection from battle. And also you can probably get more bodies than with Kashtira. And also there's better synergy, and you don't actually have to draw into... Well, you don't have to open the Therion cards to start. And also, there are actually, like, extra deck monsters that actually will synergize more with Therions than there are with Kashtira. What are you going to do with your Kashtira cards? Like, what? Like, I showed you guys, like, all of the options, right? The like, Dark Arm Dragon... The Dragon of Annihilation is great on, but honestly, I'm thinking like, yeah, this might be honestly just worse than like Megalith Punk, like straight up, like Cash Punk, just seems bad. Like, it's just the Punk cards doing all the heavy lifting, and the Punk cards are better off being paired with something else anyways. So yeah, that sucks. Speaking of which, like, if you want to draw into Birth, you need to run more copies of Birth, and that's a higher chance of getting bricked. So, that sucks. The best thing the Kashtira cards could ever do for you is just be hand trap bait. But, like, honestly, Kashtira cards are so bad that there's no reason to hand trap any of the Kashtira cards, I'll be honest. Like, you think it would be worth, but realistically, you just don't hand trap anything. Like, Fenrir, don't hand trap that. Unicorn, don't hand trap that. It's pointless. If your opponent does Birth, the worst they can do to you is make Diablosis, man. And if you like Ash Unicorn, then they were going to like Now they get to potentially Diablosis you twice, you know? They banish 2 cards from your extra deck, right? Instead of just 1. Assuming they already have Birth. If they didn't have Birth, then you still essentially get Diablosis. They banish 1 card from your extra. That doesn't really change much. And if they make Shangri-Ira, you ask Shangri-Ira, and then this just does nothing. Generally, you should be able to out all these cards with, like, no issue. And I do see them outed all the time with, like, no issue. So, yeah, I forgot to mention this, but there's something I forgot to mention, pretty important. So, remember how I said you just banished 3 cards from your opponent's extra deck? What if there was a card that already did that? True King Litho Sagum the Disaster. There are a few other cards that do this, but I think True King Litho Sagum is probably the most consistent and easily accessible, I guess, way to banish cards from your opponent's extra deck. And this just banishes 3 all at once. There is some RNG to if you can actually banish 3, even. Unless you go, like, double Diablosis. And even then, double Diablosis is probably about the same as summoning, like, Shangri-Ira and then summoning Unicorn and then hoping your opponent just activates a monster effect. It's about the same. Unfortunately. So, yeah. This won't do a whole lot for you. But this will consistently always banish the max amount that Kashtira more or less would banish. I guess technically 4 is almost possible if your opponent, like, ashes your Unicorn turn 1, and then you Diablosis, and then Shangri-Ira summon back, like, Unicorn or something like that, I guess. And then double Diablosis effect. So, that's just so hard to do. That's annoying. But, meanwhile, summon True King Litho Sagum the Disaster once by its effect by destroying only Earth monsters. Banish up to 3 monsters from your opponent's extra deck with different names. And honestly, there's no way to really easily recover banished monsters anyway, so it doesn't matter if they weren't banished face down realistically. There's nothing that will, like, matter here. And then, boom, your opponent has 3 less cards in their extra deck, just like that, off of summoning this. Yeah. Could be that easy. And Dragonic Diagram, of course, can search it, and now with Majesty? I don't know. So with the new Draco Slayer card, whatever it was called, Majesty Pegasus, I think? No, not Majesty Pegasus. Majesty, Draco Slayer, whatever. So you summon that, and then you can just search Diagram, and then Diagram can search True King Litho Sagum if you're really wanting to do this. Now all you have to do is somehow find a monster that can just generically banish a card, and boom, that you have essentially the best, but probably more easily doable combo that is equivalent to, like, a Kashtira full combo here, where you banish 3 cards from your opponent's extra deck, and also you have, like, 1 form of removal. So honestly, just do Verte make DPE, and that's like more or less the equivalent to Fenrir. But actually better than Fenrir, because Fenrir is a trigger. And you can just activate DP, and it's non-targeting just whenever. So yeah, let's just say I just activate True King Litho Sagum, normal summon a dude, and then make Verte, special summon DPE. Yeah, that's equivalent to, like, a Kashtira inboard. Yeah. It isn't that awkward. So that's all Kashtira does right now, and it's not much. In fact, there are cards that are just better, and that hurts. So yeah, whenever the new support drops, I'll probably be making a new video all about that. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.